Well, as you know, President Obama vowing to take on and destroy, in his words, ISIS. He's now delivered multiple speeches to reassure Americans about his plans for defeating the radical Islamic terrorist group. He gave that national address last week on the eve of 9/11. But this morning, there's a stunning column in the New York Post. It suggests the speech was really more about battling the Islamic militants in the Middle East. And it comes from veteran columnist Michael Goodwin, who writes, quote, "The disjointed speech wasn't really about terrorism and launching a new war. It was about saving Obama's presidency. He is sinking fast and could soon pass the point of no return. In fact, it may already be too late to save the SS Obama. The whole second term has been a string of disasters." Is that fair or on target? Ohio Republican Senator Rob Portman joins us. He's a member of the Committee on Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs. Senator, thank you for joining us here this morning.
Good to be on.
Look, there's no doubt the president has ordered airstrikes against ISIS in Iraq, likely to do so against Syria, trying to assemble this coalition against ISIS of 40 nations. But there are some who are looking at this and saying, why the 180? In 1 month, he went from, calling the Syrian rebels pharmacists and farmers to saying we're going to rely on them to defeat this terrorist group.
Yeah. It does seem to be a big switch, and yet he's finally doing the right thing. So I think as a Republican who has criticized the president for not showing leadership, by the way, at home and abroad, when the president finally steps up and says, we had to take at least these first measured steps, and I think he needs to do more, I think that's a good thing for the country. I don't know what the political fallout is. I will tell you, I saw a poll this morning indicating that nearly 70% of Americans don't believe that what he has laid out is going to work. So I don't know how much it helped him, but I do think it's the right thing for our country to stand up to this ISIS threat. If we do not, it will continue to pose a threat not just to the region, but ultimately to us. And so it's well beyond time. It's overdue for him to step up and do something. And, let the politics fall out as they will. But as a Republican, I think it's important that I say and that we say, for those of us who have opposed the president on this, yes, it's good he's finally ordering these airstrikes and finally saying that he's going to start to do the right things in terms of arming some of these groups, including the one in Syria that has the opportunity to be our ground forces there.
Well, shouldn't there be more? Some are calling for ground troops of other nations. The Arab allies, for example, they may launch airstrikes, and Saudi Arabia says they'll have a base to train 5,000 Syrian rebels. But you're talking about 5,000 versus what, 30,000 or so of the ISIS terrorists? What do we do to make it work? How do we make it work? And what apparently has changed the president's mind?
Well, you're right. The ISIS group, now the estimate is 31,000. It could be larger than that. And I think as they begin to roll up victories, you see more and more people coming on board, Sunnis in the region who want to be with the winner. So we've got to reverse that and do it quickly. And you're right, the president has been so hesitant that our allies in the region don't trust him and don't trust us to follow through on what we're saying. Think about what happened in Syria last time the president gave a speech about it, where he drew a red line and then did not follow through on that. So the skepticism the American people have shown by 70% of them saying, gee, I don't think this is going to work, is probably reflected also in the way some of our Arab allies are responding. We've got to show more resolve. We've got to be sure and let them know that we're serious this time. We are going to follow through on it. We are going to address this threat. This ISIS group is not just a terrorist group, as the president said, in Yemen or Somalia. It's not the right analogy. This is an army. They're taking territory, and we need to stand up and be counted. And if we do that, I believe other Arab countries in the region will come with us. Obviously, this is a major concern to them.
There is no doubt this is the challenge. It's the challenge of our time. And you've got two brave Americans and one brave Briton who have now been beheaded, with others being threatened. What do we do on a global scale, finally, to try and stop this growing jihadist philosophy?
Well, it's a comprehensive strategy, and what the president did not lay out in his speech was that strategy. So it is economic, it is diplomatic, it's also military, it's also intelligence. And the United States has to be committed. As we've learned since 9/11, this threat exists. We have to deal with it. We just celebrated the small victories that we had in Iraq in 2011, 2010, and then we allowed this thing to disintegrate in Iraq. And I hope we've learned our lesson, by withdrawing all of our troops from Iraq and not keeping in place the intelligence, the special ops, and the trainers to be able to be sure that those gains that we had made with the surge were maintained. We squandered a lot of American success and blood and treasure. We can't do that again in Afghanistan.
And now we have the current challenge. Senator Rob Portman of Ohio, thank you for joining us.